So, can I now open for questions from the room? Please, can I ask you to state your name and your background?
Good morning, Dr. Tan. Allow me to first thank you for making Singapore Management University a reality through your silver wisdom and intelligent vision. My question presumes that you'll be next president of Singapore. It concerns the biggest decision Singapore has ever made since independence. Will you ever approve a limitless guarantee of all bank deposits, or will you modify it?
I think that one of the first things which one learns in life, whether in economics, finance, or other areas, is that one never says never. And the reason why that is so is that one never knows what the future will bring about. You have to look at the circumstances of each problem, the importance to Singapore, the consequences of what happened if you do the wrong decisions. And I think that we have seen a very dramatic example of this in the last few years. There is going to be endless debate and dispute as to whether it was right for the US government to allow Lehman Brothers to collapse, which then triggered off the Great Recession of 2008, 2009, which almost brought us back to the 1930s. If it were not for the strong actions of the central banks and the government authorities led by the US Fed, Mr. Ben Bernanke in particular, we would be facing 20% unemployment today. And the world will be a very bleak place. So, Mr. Bernanke took unprecedented action to do whatever is necessary, providing money in unlimited quantities to financial institutions to keep the system afloat. And that saved us. Now, similar situation occurs here due to contagion from some crisis overseas, affects our banks, affects confidence in Singapore. Do we take unprecedented action? Maybe. But fortunately for Singapore, unlike other countries which have similar action and don't have the means, the reserves that we have built up over the last 40 years enable us to take this action without compromising our financial integrity and without our falling into deeper problems. So we are not like Iceland, which did the same thing and became essentially bankrupt. We are not like Ireland, for example, which guaranteed the banks and ran into grave problems. So the lesson for that is, it's not the action which is important, but do you have the reserves? Do you have the backing? Do you have the ability to take this action? And when a similar situation, if ever a similar situation should arise in the future, which I sincerely hope not, because you do not know how close we were to a total collapse in the world financial system in 2008, 2009. We escaped with minimal damage, and Singapore's recession was extremely short. But don't press your luck. Same thing happens again 5-6 years from now. We may not have another Ben Bernanke heading the US Fed. And then all the problems which we face today, all the issues we face, actually would seem to be very trivial compared to the financial and economic catastrophe that could befall us.
Thank you very much.
And I invite other questions, and I hope that we stick to the topic of education. Yeah. Can I ask you to introduce yourself?
Hello. I hope you remember me. My name is Nakala. I was GRC last time. Actually here I'm actually speaking for the brain injured population in Singapore. I myself was featured on television about 17 times for my brain injury where I lost my memory. I have to start all over again. But when I recover, I find that we don't have a very conducive environment here because we don't provide a re-education of people who suffer trauma. And I just had a magazine I received from Australia, Synapse. It says that Australia has about 1.6 million people actually affected by brain injury. So here, I ask, what is the future of higher education for us, the brain injured, as well as other uniquely challenged people in Singapore? Because other than educating us, the uniquely challenged, perhaps we should consider educating the community of people around us. Because I actually have quite a terrible recovery phase. A lot of people view me with biased opinion. Before my 7 facial correction surgery, I looked really ugly. With my broken legs, I had to amputate and elongate my leg. But all this perseverance, as well as some kind of mindset building, thanks to the education system, it gave me a very good foundation that helped me on top of. Thank you, Professor Chair.
Thank you. First, may I say how sorry I am about your circumstances and the trauma which you had to go through. I'm sure you must have been terrible for not only for yourself but for your family and your loved ones. I would say that when I said in my speech that we should try in Singapore to make arrangements so that every citizen, every Singaporean can realize his or her potential. I think this is not only limited to those who are healthy, who are able, but also those who suffer some injury like you, or those who are handicapped. And we can improve on what we have today. And I think that this is something which, given the level of development which Singapore has achieved, we should look into the circumstances of people who need help, people who have suffered injury, people who are handicapped, and help them also to live fulfilling lives. And this, of course, will require additional effort, and I hope that the government will make the effort, and if within my ability, there's certainly one of the areas which I would certainly like to pay much more attention to. I believe that for many people in Singapore, given help from the government, from civic society, from private institutions, they can reach another level of life, that their life is not over, that there is still a life ahead of them. And not only can they be do things which to support themselves, but they should also be able to contribute to society and to their civic organizations. And all of us, I think, would like to be in that position. And I hope that is an area which I would like to spend a great deal of time on, and to talk to the government, other bodies, civic society. And I think that is an area which Singapore should pay attention to in the coming years.
Yes. Can I shift to other questions so that everybody has an opportunity to ask questions? I have somebody there, and then a second person.
Thank you. My name is Cynthia Gibson, and I'm in Singapore as a project-based developer of higher education projects. Thank you, Dr. Tin. I'm honored to be here and to have heard your speech this morning. I've learned very much, and I'm deeply impressed with the Singapore education system, primary through tertiary. My question is, what is your frank assessment of the role of private education institutes that have recently been re-regulated by CPE and are undergoing some changes in the higher education futures here in Singapore? Thank you.
Well, let me say in general that I believe that private education does have a place in Singapore if it's well run and also well taught. And one example, for example, is UNISIM, which is the private education, which I think does an excellent job in providing university education to people who are not able to do it on a full-time basis. in our public institutions that they do it on a part-time basis while they are doing their day jobs. For other private institutions, of course, I think we have to carefully guard Singapore's reputation as a safe and reliable place. If people come here for education, they must be assured, they and their parents must be assured that the institution which they attend here will give them the quality of education which they advertise when they go out to recruit students. I think the Council for Private Education in Singapore is doing a systematic job of going through all the institutions. I'm sure that at the end of the day, standards will be raised and that the private education sector will be not only enhanced but also strengthened as a result of this initiative by the government.